And we are live. Hello and welcome everyone to CircuitStream's Summer Open House. Thank you all so much for joining us. Today, we'll be talking about current XR industry trends, do a deep dive into CircuitStream's educational programs, get a first-hand account of what it takes to go from being a complete beginner to an XR industry expert. I'm your host, Brendan, and shortly we'll be joined by our head of education, Jerry Medeiros, and our guest speaker for today, CircuitStream alumnus, current student, and rising XR superstar, Andrew Alderete. Now, before we get into it, I wanted to do a quick audio video check. Just let me know in the comments if you can hear me, if you can see me. It would be greatly appreciated. Hello, yes, sounds good. Hello, everyone. Can hear you? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much. Also wanted to provide a quick overview of your layout here. So to the bottom right of your presentation screen, you'll notice a little bell icon. If the notifications are getting a little annoying or distracting for you, go ahead and hit that icon and it will silence all of the notifications from our chat or questions. Also, the chat section to your right, feel free to engage with other audience members. We also have a number of team members here who would love to engage and chat with you. If you have any questions throughout the open house today, I would ask that you direct them to the questions tab. We are going to be doing a Q&A, so that will just allow us to organize and make sure that we answer all of the questions throughout our presentation. So my name is Brendan. I am on the education team here at CircuitStream. I'm hosting today from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I would love to know where everyone's joining us from. Feel free to post in the chat where you're joining us from, where around the world you live, and we'd love to hear it. Toronto, NYC, Toronto as well. Beautiful. Okay, some local folks. Puerto Rico, New York, San Fran, Calgary. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Well, we're very happy for everyone to be joining us. I come from a background in finance and investment management, just a little brief history. And I'm just a fun fact, I'm also a competitive rugby player. I've never broken a bone, and that's something that I'm very proud of and very lucky for, I guess. Do we have any rugby players in the audience today? Nope, none. Darn it. Moving on, soon we'll be joined by Jerry Medeiros. Jerry is a senior VR developer, instructor, and the head of education here at CircuitStream. He holds a bachelor's degree in games technology, as well as master's degrees in computer science from both the Federal State University of Rio de Janeiro and Leibniz Hanover University in Germany. He also has over 10 years of experience in the 3D simulation, training, and gaming industries. Now, later, we'll also be joined by Andrew Alderete. Andrew is the CEO of APA Consulting, the head of communications, content creator, and film music nerd at Cineconcerts. Currently, he's working with big names in the film and music industry to create high-quality, immersive productions. He's also currently enrolled in CircuitStream's Interaction Design course and is an alumnus of our XR Development with Unity course. Andrew will be sharing what his XR journey has looked like and provide us with his perspective on a best approach to pursuing an education in XR design or development. If we're lucky, he might even show us some of his previous work, as well as how he's putting his XR skills to work today. So very excited for Andrew to be joining us. He is an absolute stud of a student. Now, what's on the agenda for today? I'd like to take the first 5 minutes to shed some more light on CircuitStream. Then we'll take about 10 to 15 minutes to see where the XR industry is headed and what opportunities there are to get involved. I'll then invite Jerry on stage to provide a thorough breakdown of our course offerings here at CircuitStream, which should take about 20 to 30 minutes. To add further perspective to that, Andrew will be taking 10 to 15 minutes to share with us not just his experience going through our courses, but how he went from being a total beginner to an XR expert who gets to work with AR and VR every single day. We'll take 10 to 20 minutes to field any questions you have throughout the open house. And as a reminder, this open house will be recorded and sent to all registrants afterwards. But for those of you who are planning to attend for the full duration of the open house, anyone who will be here the entire length will have a chance to win a free design or development course bundle valued at $4,950 US. So we'll take a look at what comes in those bundles just before we get into the Q&A. And the lucky winner will be announced via email and over social media shortly after we conclude our open house. So just a bit of a surprise, but we definitely wanted to provide additional value for joining up. So who is CircuitStream? Well, we were founded in 2015 when we identified the gap in demand for education relating to AR and VR. Our goal has always been to share a foundation of knowledge on the best tools, processes, and workflows for XR design and development. To date, we've helped over 40,000 learners develop their XR skills. What we have here at CircuitStream is a global team of industry experts who are passionate about accelerating the AR and VR industry through education. We have team members and instructors all over the world, which also helps us accommodate students across multiple time zones and geographies. CircuitStream is also a Unity training and channel partner. So partners are approved based on their expertise, focus on quality education, and on the demonstrated success of their students. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Unity, they have created one of the most extensive and robust physics engines on the market. In fact, about 60% of the content being released across AR and VR platforms today are created in the Unity engine. So our instructors maintain the highest level of certification offered by Unity. And speaking of certifications, I'm very excited to also share that CircuitStream is now one of the few educators in this space offering XR industry-specific certifications. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later on. So who have we actually worked with? Well, we've trained teams and professionals for some of the most well-recognized organizations in the world, such as VMware, Walmart, Hershey's, and the US Navy, just to name a few. We work with organizations large and small, right down to the individual learner. Now let's talk about the XR industry. If that last slide didn't give you a good idea of who's adopting this technology, here's an overview of the industries that are currently employing XR. So you have media and entertainment, retail, architecture, military, so on and so forth. So organizations are adopting this tech to create efficiencies, to further innovate and grow. And in use cases such as for the military, as well as the automotive and manufacturing industries, immersive tech is helping to greatly reduce risk in these fields. Now, this isn't just happening in certain areas or markets. We're seeing interest and demand grow all over the world. But what does that growth look like for the overall industry? PwC released a report back in 2019 maintaining that 23.5 million jobs worldwide will be using augmented and virtual reality by 2030 for training, collaboration, and to provide new digital experiences. In that same report, they mentioned VR and AR have the potential to add $1.5 trillion to the global economy by 2030. Now, more recently, Business Wire also released a report projecting that from now until 2027, the value of the XR industry is expected to have a compound annual growth rate of about 66% per year. That is very impressive growth. But what does that mean again for you and I? These are impressive numbers. But for you, basically, it means that now is the best time to be expanding your skill set. Currently, XR experience is in high demand, and this is exacerbated by the fact that job growth for AR and VR is continuing at a rapid pace. There's even new roles and titles regularly being introduced to the job market specific to AR and VR. And employers are also willing to pay more for these technical skills. As you can see, there are a number of roles and titles that require XR experience, from developers and artists to project managers and quality assurance. And who knows, maybe your ideal role has yet to be invented or introduced. Also, for you indie devs or artists, there's still a shortage of high quality content on XR marketplaces waiting for you to enter that arena. Now, if you're looking for the best way to educate yourself for XR, then look no further. Our course offerings include programs meant for beginners as well as intermediate or expert level designers and developers. At this time, I'll ask Jerry to please join me on stage to provide an overview of our course offerings here at CircuitStream. Jerry, are you with us yet? Perfect. There he is.
Hello. Yeah, I think I am.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, your audio, video looks good. Sounds good.
Good.
Thanks for being here.
Hello, everyone.
I'll let you take over the presentation as we get into it.
All right, great. Cool. So, well, Brenda already introduced me there, so I think we can skip this one. And let's talk a little bit about our courses. So, well, starting with the XR development with Unity course. So this is the course that we have been running for a long while. I have 3 sessions coming, or 3 new cohorts coming up the pipe. So there is one starting on the July 6th. Then we have another one in August 14th, and then September 3rd. This course is 10 weeks long, and it's 8 hours of live teaching divided by the live sessions, the possible one-on-ones, and also the off hours that we offer. So if we can get to the next slide there, we can talk a little bit about the structure. Cool. So, well, we have been doing this for a long while, and this course is really great. Like, people go for join there and get from zero to being able to write complex applications in VR and AR. We used to do it more based around some themes. So it was like more about the content and everything. So we changed it a little bit. So it used to be 10 weeks, and it's still 10 weeks. But we reframed the content a little bit to give it more a project-based approach. So if we can jump to the next one, the way we have been doing it right now is it's still 10 weeks, but now in every one of those sections, and you can see that it's not like evenly divided anymore. It used to be like 10 weeks, 10 sections, all of them based on some around some content. But now we do it based on projects. So every one of those teams, or every one of those sections that we have, you're going to come up with a different project that you build from scratch. You learn how to build it with your instructor there, and you can use it as a portfolio piece and modify that, improve the assets. So you have like a couple of projects to demonstrate after the course. So just to give an example, well, when we are like, for example, programming in the thing do, which is programming in Unity with C#, we basically implement a solar system where you learn the basics of 3D transformation, how the objects, they relate to each other in 3D, how to mess around with the axis. So you learn like the basics of physics in Unity, input in Unity, and get comfortable with C#. So from there, we add upon those projects, creating other ones that are more and more complex. And David just asked, what is VR locomotion? So in this one, you're going to learn how to implement teleportation around a scene from scratch. So it's basically the math behind it, the visuals behind it. So it's a really cool function. It's a really cool section where people learn how to implement moving around there. So it's not only using pre-made components. Actually, we jump into there and teach it from scratch. So Portal can be definitely something you can implement after that session, just using the bases there. But yeah, so it's really exciting. The projects are really cool, and the way the students are interacting with them and making them even more interesting than we thought, it's super, super good to see. And now everyone comes out of the course with with a bunch of projects there. So it's like a complete portfolio. And then in the last session, one thing that is super cool is that the final project, as we call it, it's not like predefined by the instructors, but actually the students work together to come up with what they want to learn. So these sometimes go really crazy, but it's so nice that they come up with fun ideas and develop something that we have never imagined. So this is where we have some time to discuss like project feasibility, how to assess if a functionality can be implemented or not, what are the technical difficulties there. Also, we can join like things that are not in our, that's not like in the curriculum. So sometimes, for example, people want to learn a little bit of multiplayer. So if everyone is on board with that, all the students are on board with that, we can definitely make it. So yeah, it's really cool. Like, they come up with projects that we never imagined. So if we can,
do you have any examples of what some of those projects have been?
Oh, well, this cohort, they're making like a blob fight. The Nikisa's students, they are building a blob fight. So it's basically like a VR tower defense, where we have the blobs, like it's basically like just like a jellish character that walks on your direction, and you need to throw stuff on them. So it can be anything, like you can like frying pans or eggs or whatever you have. And if they touch each other, they just like duplicate or they increase in size. So it's super, super nice. I remember another one that they made marionette with AR. So it was like hand tracking and a hack doll with like imaginary lines. So you could control that in AR. So yeah, there's no limits there. It depends on what the students are thinking, but there are some really, really cool projects that they come up with.
Awesome.
Maybe Andrew, when he joins the stage, he can talk a little bit about the project they're building in his cohort as well.
Yeah, he's got a great showcase for us for sure.
Yeah, that would be cool. Nice. So the other course, the other 10 weeks course that we have, and we have another cohort starting in August 23rd, is the interaction design and prototyping for XR. So Unity is a really complete tool that allows us to do a bunch of different things. The first course that I was discussing here is more focused on programming. So we're going to learn how to program stuff, like how to implement behaviors. You're going to have like the freedom to develop whatever you imagine. This one is for a different profile. So if you don't want to get into coding, it's not something you're looking for, but you still want to get into the XR workspace as someone that works with prototyping, or can convey, you want to convey ideas there, or you want to be a technical artist or something like that. So this course is for you. It's a different skill set. If you can jump into the next slide so I can talk a little bit about the weeks in there as well. So it's also project-based. We have a little bit less projects there just because of the structure of the course, but you come up with your own portfolio as well. So this course starts with foundation grounding on interaction design for XR. So basically what you need to consider, what is the difference between web or like traditional design, what you need to take into account, what you need to make in order to create comfortable applications. So we start with that, so everyone is on the same page and able to assess and to develop applications that are good, comfortable, and easy to use. Basically that. Then we jump into Unity. And from there, we're going to cover most of the creative tools into Unity. So you learn how to create prototypes by using Pro Builder, which is a tool that allows you to create your own shapes. So you can like gray box, for example, I don't know, like a museum or a house or a building, whatever, without needing an external tool. We also go over the terrain tool, so you can create landscapes and you can like create different types of worlds in there. Then we jump into the XR Interaction Toolkit, so we can learn how to have XR implemented without any coding. So we use the component-based XR Interaction Toolkit to learn how to, well, move around, grab stuff, throw stuff. The interactions that are a little, well, it's, you are not going to be able to do anything you imagine because you are not scripting there, but you can prototype and convey your ideas at least. And then you can like simulate what you want to have in the end. And then you can have like a team or someone adding on top of that, but it's super cool. We also go over the visual effecting systems in Unity. So you're gonna learn a bit of lighting, how to make things look good there, a little bit of particles, effects, and all of that. We also jump a little bit into the timeline system, so you can make like storytelling with no coding. There is a really cool session in this course that uses Unity Mars to create an AR storytelling application with not a single line of code. So you can like outline, well, you can make a story that happens in your own environment and whatnot. And we also jump into UI, like what you need to do to create interesting UIs, 3D UIs for either VR or AR, add animations to those. So this is more on the creative side. You're going to be able to outline your ideas in there, create some simple applications that can later evolve to more complete applications. So this is super cool, super exciting. People are doing really nice things there. We are running it for the first time now, but it's going super, super well. And last but not least, we have the XR Accelerator project. So this one is for more advanced people. If you already have some experience in Unity, you already have some experience some experience with C Sharp maybe, and you have a project in mind that you want to get polished or get finished. This is a 8 weeks a long course where you're gonna get in touch with the most advanced tools inside Affinity. So we assume you already know the basics, so we really push the limit there, either for even for VR and for AR. And in the one-on-ones, you're gonna make sure you're matched with the expert based on your project. So depending on what you want to build in there, you're gonna get an expert to work with you on that project. So we divide this course in labs. So the first one is a little bit about interaction design. We're gonna learn the best practice in there, what you need to consider to polish your project. Then we jump into AR, then VR, and in the end, we have a really nice session on optimization and publish, because well, this, if you want to have like a finished application that we're going to publish, it needs to be optimized, it needs to run at a high frame rate. So basically we have a session dedicated to that, just to teach people how to profile the application, identify the bottlenecks, fix them, and even how to optimize like assets, what needs to be considered if you are buying, like if you're hiring someone, for example, to make 3D models for you. What do you need to tell them? Like, what is the standard, what they need to look into? So it varies from platform to platform, but we cover in depth like how to use everything that Unity can provide to make a super smooth application that doesn't lag there.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, that's kind of the course breakdown. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so. So those are the 3 courses that we are offering at the moment. All of them are cool. I'm pretty sure one of them are gonna be suitable for you. So I'll be back in the end for the questions. So if you have any questions, specific questions about the content, the course, or anything, just post them on the questions tab, and I will get to them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Jerry, and we'll see you back on stage shortly in the Q&A section.
See you guys. Bye.
Excellent. Now, to shed more light on what it takes to build XR skills, I'll now invite Andrew to the stage. So, Andrew, are you with us here?
Hey, can you hear me, see me?
Yes, all good.
Right on.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said right on. Hey, everybody.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Andrew. I'm sure our audience would love to learn more about you. Would you mind sharing a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. My name's Andrew, as you can see. I'm an independent producer out here in Boulder, Colorado, but I worked in the Hollywood entertainment industry for many, many years, too many years. And now I've sort of forayed into the live entertainment business with film concerts, which is it's not so new anymore, but it's a unique live entertainment experience where they project the movie on a big screen in a concert hall, and a orchestra performs the entire score live to picture. So you can think about your most favorite movie, whether it's Star Wars or Gladiator or something like that. Imagine watching that on a big screen, but there's actually 80 musicians playing the music from start to finish, sync to picture. So my main client is Cineconcerts. They're the leading producer of these live entertainment experiences worldwide. And so I'd say we've done about maybe 1,600 performances in 48 countries worldwide now. And that's really my primary focus, is trying to redefine people's experiences with sound and image.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing. So I have a few questions for you. Definitely wanted to see your answers. And first one being, how did you get started, and what really sparked your interest in XR?
It was last year, actually. We started thinking about saving some money in concert halls by having photo ops that were virtual. And at that time, it was an AR sort of virtual photo op that people could take photos and share on social. And so we started getting into Unity and thinking about Unity as a platform to be able to do this. And at that time, we were building stuff in Maya and porting them into Unity and messing around with stuff. And it was just a lot of painstaking work to get it to work right and activate at certain times and things like that. But the biggest roadblock for me was that I didn't really understand the foundation of XR and design, and that was driving me crazy. And that's how I found you guys.
Perfect. So yeah, you guys were looking to implement this even before you found us.
Correct. And really, it was just there was an education gap for me. Like, I just didn't understand this world, but I wanted to know more. And I'm a very visual and creative person, so wanted to potentially extend that knowledge to be able to apply it to stuff that I really personally enjoy too. So that was sort of how I segued into the XR space.
Well, very glad you found us. Can you share with us actually some of the challenging parts of your journey, as well as what's been very rewarding about your whole learning experience?
Sure. The challenging part is the tech. I think the challenging part is that the tech is changing so fast, and it's so frequent, and there are limitations with the hardware that in your mind it looks perfect, and then when you try to apply it to something, it's not so perfect because the machine can't render it that fast, or there might be a new version coming out, or a new API is released and everything changes, right? Or even Unity updates and things break. So that has been the most challenging aspect of trying to figure all that stuff out in the most optimized way to make your product, whatever that might be, work efficiently. The most rewarding thing, honestly, is figuring all of that stuff out. And that can be just like a basic script, like if you're trying to pick up an object, or if you're trying to teleport, or if you're learning C# for the first time and you don't get any console errors in Unity. It's super, super rewarding. And for me, I didn't know anything about this, like zero. I knew nothing about C# or Unity or any of this stuff. And being able to build your first app that actually works and plays, and you put on the headset and you see it and you're like, wow, I actually made this. It's like nothing compares to that feeling of being able to get something made.
Okay, great. Yeah, definitely. Like when something works and there's no errors, it's both like the biggest relief and probably the most excited you can get, as a creator.
Yes.
Awesome. So how would you describe your learning experience specifically with CircuitStream?
CircuitStream is awesome for a variety of reasons, because you obviously have the online classes, right? But you also have the one-on-ones. So every student gets a one-on-one time with someone for an hour a week. And that has been like really valuable. So, if you have questions about your homework, or if you're working on a side project that you're building in tandem with stuff that you're working on in class, you can talk about it. You can share your screen, you can share stuff with your one-on-one instructor and go through things. Sometimes I just ask questions about tech, or like best practices, or what app should I use for this? What IDE is best? What computers are good for this type of thing? And that has been really invaluable. I think the one-on-ones is in combination with the format of the classes themselves have been really great. And another thing too is there's office hours on top of that. So the office hours are open at various times during the week so that you can get additional help, which by the way is open to alumni, which I think is like really fantastic. So even after I leave this class, I can always go back if I'm stuck and ask something, which is truly amazing. I don't know any other resource like that in this space that does something similar. So, and on top of that, everybody is like really knowledgeable and awesome and friendly. I feel like CircuitStream is like a small close-knit family on Slack, and you get to know the other students, and you really feel like you're a part of something that's small, like in terms of your cohort, your class size. And that's been really, really fun. So you help each other too, and that's really important.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I mean, when I first started, I guess my self-directed education in this space, the worst part was not having anybody to go directly to and ask very specific questions to. Often we're kind of left to our own devices, searching YouTube or blogs, trying to find the right answer, but it may be just slightly different to a point where it could cause more errors than it helps. But
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. So yeah, you're currently in our interaction design and prototyping course. Once you graduate, what are your plans for the future? Like, what comes next?
I want to take live entertainment experiences that if you're physically at a concert hall, you experience something creative and it moves you in some way you can't define. You have an emotional response to that. And I'm very interested in trying to redefine that in the concert space. So ideally, I would love to have virtual concerts. we're worldwide, right? So I would love to teleport people to different halls across the world, whether it be the Colosseum in Rome, where we did Gladiator Live, or Royal Albert Hall in London, where we do Harry Potter, the Harry Potter film concert series. It's super, super special experience to see that in person, but there are a lot of markets that don't have access, to fly out there, or they don't have it close to them. So that's number one. But number two, I think just being able to take my insane creative ideas and apply them in a virtual 3D space that's not just, either an Illustrator canvas or something 2D on your screen, to be able to really manipulate everything about the environment that you're in virtually is really, really exciting. So I want to play with that, whether it's sound or whether it's color. But of course, the music film element, I definitely want to apply it for that.
That sounds excellent. Sounds very magical, and maybe one of the only ways I ever get to travel. So I would definitely appreciate that experience. Awesome. So Andrew, for now we will wrap up our question section, but I hope you can hang out behind the scenes and wait around for our Q&A. We will be coming back to the Q&A, but just want to share a little bit more information on our courses before then. Actually, I almost jumped. Yeah. Before I boot you off stage here, we would love to see any, showcase of your work that you've prepared or
sure,
feel comfortable sharing.
Sure. So I put together a little video for you guys. Again, this is me just messing around. Some of it are class projects that Jerry mentioned, with interactions and things. A lot of them aren't done, but the end is a sort of a special surprise of something that I'm actually applying to what I'm working on with the Harry Potter film concert series and Cineconcerts. And again, it's messing around. It's figuring out what works, what doesn't, what the Oculus can actually physically do as a piece of hardware. And that's just part of the fun with CircuitStream. So without further ado, let me just share it real quick, and hopefully I can get this to work. But here we go.
Oh, get mine out of here. Oh, there we go. Holy smokes. Oh my goodness, Andrew, that looks great. It
Thanks,
sounds
guys.
amazing. And now I have to take a run at the whole Harry Potter series this weekend. You
I
forced
recommend
me.
you do. Fantastic. The next Fantastic Beast is coming out at some point. I think at some point we'll do that too.
Okay.
So I'll get you all into wherever you're located. I'll get you all tickets to go see it. All right. How about that?
That would be incredible. That looks great, Andrew. And thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Sure. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. We'll see you again shortly for the
Sure.
Q&A. But for now, I will take another few minutes just to share more about our courses. So Andrew's, on his second course of potentially 3, maybe going for the trifecta. We don't know yet. But each of our individual courses as well is designed to provide you with a complete learning experience in and of itself. So depending on what path or discipline you want to pursue, our courses are meant to provide you with a full fundamental understanding as well as skill set to pursue those disciplines. Now, for each of our 10-week courses, there are no prerequisites. Beginners are certainly welcome. The only requirements actually come in the form of hardware. So we would require the capability of running Unity, and ideally you have a device you can use to test or run applications and experiences on, but even that is not like a requirement. Another interesting fact, each of our programs are platform agnostic. So they're designed to provide you with the ability to launch applications on a multitude of devices, whether you prefer headsets like the Oculus Quest 2 or mobile devices like the Android or iPhone. Now, to further echo Jerry's breakdown earlier, our XR Development with Unity course is a live instructor-led curriculum with plenty of avenues for enduring support for both students and alumni. It is a project and portfolio-driven learning experience supplemented with opportunities to acquire XR industry-specific certifications as well as Unity certifications. The course is priced at $3,950 US, and upcoming cohorts are beginning as soon as July 6th or August 3rd for anyone in and around the CEST time zone. We'll also have another North American cohort beginning closer to the fall on September 14th. Each of our beginner-friendly courses is structured very similarly. So with our interaction design and prototyping course, you can expect the same project-driven, live instructor-led format, complete with its own certification path for artists and designers. The course is also priced at $3,950, and the next cohort will be starting August 23rd. I wanted to provide, or share a simple visual to give you an idea of the certification for each of our beginner-friendly 10-week courses. So for XR Dev with Unity, that will help you achieve CircuitStream's XR Developer certification and put you on track to complete the Associate Programmer certification through Unity, whereas Interaction Design will help you achieve CircuitStream's XR Designer certification, put you on track to complete the Associate Artist certification through Unity. And nothing says I'm an authority on the subject matter quite like multiple certifications and a portfolio to suit. Now, for those who are already quite advanced but are looking to add structure and external support to a capstone project, we also have our XR Project Accelerator course. So the Project Accelerator is an 8-week portfolio course that emphasizes more advanced XR concepts and one-on-one dedicated support throughout. It will put you on track to achieve our XR Practitioner certification, which is the highest certification we offer here. The course is priced at $4,450 US, and the next cohort will be starting on September 14th. All of our courses, by the way, grant you access to our community, which is where you can have your enduring support, even as an alumni. Now, to earn the XR Practitioner Badge, which is our highest level of certification offered at CircuitStream, you can either graduate from both of our beginner courses or take the Project Accelerator on its own or any combination. These certifications verify your expertise, professional level skills, and knowledge towards becoming an XR professional. Now, one more quick note about our beginner-friendly 10-week courses is we have a standalone option, which comes with the course as well as a Unity certification exam, almost voucher. So you'll have your opportunity to take the certification exam through any of our courses, through any of our beginner courses. We're also currently offering a Starter Plus package, which includes the course, the exam voucher, but also our C# scripting fundamentals course, an Oculus Quest 2 device, and 10 hours of dedicated one-on-one time with an instructor, which we always recommend using for project support or for further mentorship on XR concepts. Now, today we'll be giving away one of these plus packages for free to a lucky member in our audience. Again, we'll announce that shortly after we wrap the open house. Now, for anyone else looking to get started, we do also offer a number of payment plans to our students just to help them with that cost over time. So we have 3, 6, and 12-month payment plans, which are monthly payment plans. If you'd like to chat more in depth about your XR education goals or learn more about CircuitStream and any of our course offerings, feel free to contact our admissions team. Steph, Kyle, or myself would be happy to connect and have a conversation about finding your best approach. If curiosity is getting the better of you immediately, you can also visit our site, download any of our course syllabi off our site, or even apply now. So circuitstream.com/learning. We also have tons of great information on there in the form of on-demand workshops just to help you get your foot in the door, as well as a blog, which has great information on it. So I want to thank you all very much for joining us today. Definitely a special thank you to Andrew and Jerry for sharing their time and insights with us. And at this point, I'd like to kick off the Q&A. So if Jerry and Andrew are still around, we'd love to bring you back on stage. I know we have a lot of great questions that we want to get through.
Hey, Brandon, can you hear me?
Yes, you are good. Jerry, welcome back. Okay, excellent. We will go from the bottom of the list here. So our first question, what field or application of XR excites you the most? Okay, we can ask both of you this question.
Guess first.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. He's like this in class, by the way. Put you on the spot. I would say VR. Unity VR is like my iPhone just started. Is really where I am interested in. It's like super exciting. There's so many things in the asset store you could play with. It's like being in a candy store, and really, really fun. So that's really where I see myself going in XR dev. AR is fun too, don't get me wrong, but really VR is awesome.
Cool. Well, so just to give a little bit of a different answer, I would take the field instead of the application. So, well, I feel like XR, VR, AR, it can be used to so many things like construction, aviation. People are using there for a bunch of things. But what still excites me the most is still the gaming industry. Like I'm from the gaming industry. Most of my experience is there. And the possibilities and the cool things that we can do, like we both, in terms of games, it's really amazing. So the games in VR and AR, there are not a lot of them yet. Like people are starting to think and making them more interesting now with more technology, like with meshing, for example. There are some games coming up, but in VR there are a bunch of them and they are really, really fun. So I would say the gaming industry.
Awesome. Yeah, I would definitely reflect that sentiment. Kind of a gamer here, also very, very simple guy. So Gawain has a few other great questions for us. Do you know of some good routes from ideation to funding the full-time development of an XR project?
Well, yeah. So if you want to have some funding, you need to outline your idea in a really nice way. So you need to have a prototype or a concept or something that we can show, and basically you need to be like solving a problem, or you need to have like a really good idea that are gonna find someone to fund that, even a potential investor or maybe crowdfunding. But I would say that you need to come up with many ideas for the same problem, ideate around them, like creating different prototypes, alternatives, testing them with different users, presenting them. You're gonna fail sometimes, and you improve it until you find the balance there. But yeah, I definitely feel like if you have a problem that you want to solve with XR and you want a funding for that, you need to have some alternatives. You need to test them until you're like pretty confident. that they make sense, and they're gonna find someone that like believes in that and invest in it.
Perfect. Thanks, Jerry. So another one from Gawain, and we're just kind of going through these in the order they came through. So do you have any advice for pitching XR and VR startups to investors or those unfamiliar with the technology? Often we get hung up on explaining what the tech even is versus what our idea or concept does with it.
Oh yeah, that's a really good question, and that's really is real. Like it's really hard. What I would recommend is shifting the logic. Like you don't need to present your application first. So you need to outline like the problem we're trying to solve and why the solutions that we have out now are not enough, not sufficient, or maybe not efficient. Like why are you trying to create a VR AR application for a problem? Isn't there like anything else that already exists? So if you find this and you outline like what makes this unique, why you really need XR in that, then you can present that as a solution. Even though they're not familiar with it, they're gonna understand. Like you can, for example, say, well, it's dangerous to do something. Why I cannot train someone to go to war? Because they might not come back. So you need to have like a reality that is parallel, that people are like still being trained but they're safe. This is just an example, but I feel like if you try to like invert this logic and try to first outline why there's no solution available there, or why XR is the only possible or the best solution out there, then you open their mind to understand like why this guy's presenting this instead of something else. So usually the investors, they get like, people knock their door all the time with the best idea ever, and it's based on nothing most of the time, so they're a little bit tired of it. What you need to do is really like identify a problem, true problem, define or identify why XR is the perfect solution there, and this is gonna make them look to you into a solution with a different eyes, like with a better with an open mind there. And then after that, it's easy. So the hardest part is actually making sure that your XR idea is good and solves that problem, than just trying to explain the technology to them. The technology is going to be self-explained. Like after I have a problem that cannot be solved with the technology that is already there. Well, that's my take.
Yeah, Andrew, any comment?
Jerry just did an amazing job at explaining it in a way better and more concise way than I ever could. So thank you, Jerry.
Perfect. Thank you, Jerry. Yes, indeed. Another one from Gawain. Any cool things in the XR space that inspire you or have inspired you recently?
That inspire me. That's a good question. I see so many things in the XR space that I feel like I'm starting to become like insensitive to it, because I breathe it. Like I see things all the time, so it's hard to come up with one idea. But I will think about it, and if something comes up to my mind,
actually I could interject here, Jerry, because I was just slacking you about this AR in the web space. Like I don't know why. Like I just discovered this as a technology, and it's like really fascinating, and I'm obsessed about it and trying to find stuff, and I'll find stuff and then I'll text Jerry about it. I'm like, have you played with this? And he's like, yeah, don't do it. But it's great because, you know, as a learner, you know, when you start this, you get excited about everything. And then it's always nice to focus that excitement into a practical application of an idea. And that's where these guys have really helped me do that. So, but I would say web AR, I'm like, what is it? How does it work? What do you do with it? Can Unity do anything? Which is the answer is no, but maybe they will in the future. So
cool. I think I have an answer. I was just thinking here, there is one of my students, she's in the interaction design and prototype course, and she is a designer already, not in the XR, but in web and other fields. And she's specialized in accessibility. So we started to discuss like, what would it be, accessibility in VR? And we know that it's really tricky, because if we have someone that is blind, for example, there's no VR. Like VR, you need to see, otherwise you cannot have like VR. So for people that is visually impaired or well, that's some kind of different ability, it's really hard to make VR there. And we started to think about it, like what we could do, what we could create in this. So I have been searching about it and seeing what they are doing in the academia, and also like big companies are researching about accessibility in XR in the XR space. And there is absolutely, well, I wouldn't say nothing, but there's so little there. And we started to think about it and see if we can come up with some guidelines and see what we can do. So yeah, I'm really inspired right now by this, like the universities that are researching accessibility in AR and VR, because I feel like this is gonna be more and more important. It's the same thing that happened like with web or systems. Like nobody used to think about accessibility; it just needs to work. And then at some point, they're like, okay, people are different. We have like a variety. We need to think about everyone. We need some kind of like universal design. And I feel like it didn't reach XR yet. Everything is really like limited. So yeah, I'm trying to see what's possible to do to improve that route.
Yeah, perfect. I was almost going to say Jerry's been in the trenches for a while now, so he's a little desensitized by all the amazing things happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, accessibility is a huge topic of interest, and hopefully it finds its way to this this technology and these platforms as well. Next question from Jody. What level of coding experience do you recommend having before coming to one of these intro classes?
Well, so actually, we don't require or we don't expect any coding experience. Like we assume everyone are beginners and we start from scratch and everything. But it might be a little bit overwhelming. So, well, and Andrew can speak to it a little bit, because, well, learning how to code is like learning a new language, and you need to practice a lot until you can speak like the basics. So it's the same for programming. In the beginning, some people get overwhelmed with that. So we don't require any experience. We're gonna make sure you get comfortable with that. But if you can take the C# course, for example, I would strongly recommend that, because this is gonna like set you to a level that you already joined to the XR course with some confidence in programming in C#. So if you have like a basic knowledge, that's gonna help you a lot, because you already like give your first step, but that's not required. So we make sure everyone, even if they have zero programming experience, they are gonna thrive there. For the interaction design and prototype course, we don't even teach code in that course, so you're not gonna need it. But for development, it's heavy on code, but we go really progressive there, so people are comfortable.
Yeah, I would say you don't need coding experience whatsoever. It was very, I had zero, but it does take a lot of practice, especially even if you take the C# intro course. Like you just have to repeat it and keep doing it and doing it, rewatching the videos if you get, and then applying it is the hardest part, where you have to like sit there in front of the IDE and code something yourself from memory. So it's like a muscle. You just got to keep doing it, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. But if I didn't take the C# intro course and I just went into the dev course, it was still very introductory to C#. So it was very beginner friendly, and there were a lot of people that didn't have any experience, and they were totally fine and didn't get behind.
Perfect. Thank you. Next question is from Jody. How many people are generally in a cohort?
It varies, but it's usually around 15, no more than 20. Actually, in a cohort, we have more than that, but we have different time slots. So in the same class, it's around there, like 15, maximum 20.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. So question from Mohammed: what possibilities to have XR in a more mobile and common environment, and how soon? I guess the way I'm kind of looking at this question is like how soon will there be XR devices across like every household?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to predict. I've seen a projection that was saying that by 2030, XR headsets or like XR devices in general, they're going to be as popular as mobile phones are today. But I don't think it's gonna take that long. Like I really think it's gonna be sooner than that, because now that's what happens with AR. Like all of the Instagram filters and everything. Like Facebook made that, not only Facebook, but like they pushed that to something more familiar, so people get more like comfortable with this. Now Apple is like launching more and more AR SDKs, and the new phones they come like with lidars that make AR possible and better. The Oculus Quest is like cheaper, super cheap now, and I think it's gonna be more and more accessible. So it's hard to predict, but I feel like in the coming years it's gonna be more and more popular, because now they know the path, like they know what to do. Um, like big companies are joining it. Like Facebook is investing hard in that. Apple is about to launch AR glasses, so that might change the game. I don't know. We need to see, watch and see what's gonna happen. That research says 230, but like I don't think it's gonna be that long.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, I mean, I would almost compare it to any Apple device in the past, right? I mean, once it becomes this widely accepted and widely used device or technology, I think everybody's going to want their own because it's going to be very integrated with kind of everyday life. Perfect. Thank you, Mohammed, for the question. Question from Ravi. How much competency would you require in art, illustration, drawing, and modeling in order to take full advantage of this course?
Well, zero. You don't need that. You can always buy assets, get free assets. We don't require any illustration, drawing, modeling. We don't teach those either. It's out of scope. So basically, we provide the assets that we need, and we like get you to the way. We give you to the directions, like when you need to get some assets. For example, in the projects that we teach in class, we always provide all of the assets that we need. And most of the students, like you seen the demo reel that Andrew put together, there's a bunch of things there that he just got from the asset store for free, or his team worked on. So you need to know what they are and how to interact with them, and you teach you those things, but you don't need to produce them. Like we're not going to teach you and not require you to produce any artwork.
Yeah, great supplementary skills to have, but definitely not required to get started. Excellent. So a question from Paul, could a pure artist or technologist jump into this kind of coursework, or are folks with a spectrum of disciplines a better fit? Great question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say you can jump in both of them. If you are interested in get like a completely different skill set, if you are an artist or technologist, well, actually, I don't know what a technology stands for there. I always assume it's like a tech arts, I think. I don't know. But if that's the case, because you're like saying a pure artist there, um, well, yeah, you can learn a lot. So in both 10 weeks courses, you can learn a lot. If you join the interaction design and prototyping one, I think it's gonna be easier for you, because like the 3D environment and how to navigate around effects, the sense of what is beautiful, what's not, like the sense of design, you're gonna have something. So you're just gonna learn how to translate that to real time, how to use that and apply that in Unity. If you join the XR Dev course, then in this case, you're gonna learn a completely different skill set, like coding and how to give life to your art in there. But you could potentially join both with no problem.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a good point. Another question from Jack. And I think I can answer this one. Can the 6 projects in the dev course be focused on a larger project or idea if you are trying to build a new app or prototype? So the projects within the course are based on the curriculum. So what you'll build is based on where you're at in the course. With regards to your own project, this is why we have our one-on-one dedicated packages, as well as we include them in the bundle, because those are fantastic. That's a fantastic resource to be able to apply to a project you're currently working on and have that kind of external support and mentorship throughout. So that would be kind of outside the base curriculum, but definitely that would be the approach if you are looking to, get that support on a larger project. But great question, Jack.
I can actually interject real quick on this because the Potter stuff at the end that you guys saw was like a separate project that I was working on in parallel with these projects that you do in class. And it was actually really great because I wouldn't have been able to have something like that unless I had my one-on-ones and be able to directly apply everything I'm learning in class to that project. So anytime you learn something new, I would just like apply it to that project and it would just get, more advanced and more advanced. So it was really great synergy.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for the input, Andrew. Another question from Jack. What are the assessments like for the dev course? Are there tests and quizzes, or is it based on project assessment?
We have some quizzes in there. They are meant to help you prepare for the Unity Associate exam. So they have the same structure. They are like more or less the same vibe. So you get a little bit more prepared. But in terms of, if you're asking about for the completion of the course, those are not taken into account. So it's basically the progress on the course, the project. Yeah.
Perfect. And again, great question, Jack. Question from Jody Davis: what type of equipment is required, or computer? What kind of processing power, etc.? So actually, Dayon, if Dayon, you could link to the VR or XR requirements from our blog. That gives you a great kind of outline of what you should have, or what is kind of the minimum requirements to be able to start developing for XR. So Dan's around. Hopefully he can post that one, or Steph. Will it run VR requirements? So check the chat right now. Thank you, Steph. Steph just posted that. Dayon too. We got a couple of links there for you. So much appreciated. And another good question. Hi, do you cover a little UX UI in the first course?
Just a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna give you like the general overview. Not actually UX. We don't focus on UX, but you're gonna like observe some of the concepts, what is good and what's not. But it's not focused on that. And regarding UI, we do cover a little bit, but just the basics, like so you can create some simple interfaces. In the second course, we go deeper into that. So we dedicate more time to teach how to build user interfaces there. And the course, like it's all about UX in the end. Like we're talking about the best practice and helping you to create your prototype so you can test them and refine them. So in the first course, a little bit, it's superficial, and in the second course, it's more in depth.
Okay, and I think Nathan had a very similar question. I'll just put it there for now. But for the developer course, any UI included there?
Yeah, a little bit. As the same answer, a little bit. Yeah, you're gonna learn a little bit of like UI events and what are the like how to create buttons and everything. But we don't dedicate a lot of time to it. But you can definitely like work on that on your own, or even get if you get the one-on-one pack, even learn more about it during the one-on-one. So it's covered really briefly in the first course. But you have, if this is something you are really interested in, there are some additional material there, and you can use like the one-on-ones too.
Perfect. Thank you. So how are you guys, Jerry and Andrew? How are you for time? We're at 5 after 5 right now. I think we're going a little bit over our expected time slot. Do you guys have extra time to stick around? We have a lot more questions actually.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I have 25 more minutes.
25. Okay. So we'll get through as many of these as we can. So another question from Paul: when live events and classes return, will in-person training in XR be offered?
That's a good question, but I don't think I have an answer for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have an answer for that one just yet. Everything's been moved pretty much virtual to pretty much virtual platforms. So that one is to be determined, unfortunately. So another great question: what set of UML shapes for SW architects? So lacking a little bit of context here, but any idea, Jerry?
I don't think I get it. If you can just elaborate a bit, what set of UML shapes for SW? So SW is just software. UML is the Unified Modeling Language, but I don't get it. If you can just elaborate a little bit, what
Yeah.
set?
Yeah, we'll see if
UML?
Prisha
Yeah.
can elaborate on that. Maybe try asking the question again, Prisha. Apologies. Question from Penelope: does the interaction design prototyping for XR course include audio integration, particular for immersive spatial audio for both gaming and social media platforms like VRChat?
Yeah, so we do cover audio and spatial audio, immersive audio there, but it's focused on Unity. The course is focused on Unity, so we're gonna learn how to like implement audio in Unity, how to make them spatial and whatnot. But we don't go over like other platforms that are not Unity based, such as the VR chat, for example. This is another application. You could potentially create your own with Unity. So we're gonna have the basis to understand about spatial audio there, but focus on how to implement that inside of Unity.
Okay, perfect. Actually, I'd be interested, Andrew. Any input on this, given your background in audio and music?
Yeah, as far as I know, and I've asked, one of the teachers of this course, Tyrell, who's teaching my cohort, that we will get into this. And there's been a lot of questions about spatial audio interaction, and all this stuff. Obviously, there are really complex ways, and Jerry, you can attest to this. There's really complex spatial audio that requires bouncing, and dependent on what kind of room you're in, and crazy stuff. Which we won't go into, but I'm really excited to just like get the basic foundation of just how 3D audio works and putting them on objects and how you can interact with them. And then you can just go from there and sort of open Pandora's box and figure stuff out on your own.
Okay, wonderful. And great question, Penelope. Great to see you out here. Question from Chip: any recommendations on training for product managers? Seems most job postings are looking for people that are already experienced with XR.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what I would recommend, well, it depends. We could take both to understand what the process looks like. But I would recommend starting with the XR, with the interaction design and prototyping, because you're going to learn about what you need to take into account when you're thinking your project, like your XR projects, like what are the characteristics of the users, what is the process, how the design process look like, so how to prototype, test, and you're gonna learn like how difficult it is to make stuff. So it's really good for a product manager to understand this design process. So I would recommend starting with that one. I think it makes more sense. If you're doing the other one, you're gonna learn a bunch as well of the process and everything, and it's focused on development. So we're gonna have a good foundation there. But I think for a product manager, someone that is more on an interface with the team and the marketing and the user, knowing this design process seems to me like a more beneficial skill set to have. So I would definitely, if it was me, I would definitely start with the interaction design and prototyping one.
Perfect. Question from Reginald: do we dive into particular frameworks like ARKit and ARCore?
Well, not really. So actually we use a wrapper around those two. We use AR Foundation, which is basically like something that exists in Unity, allows you to write your code only once, and you can deploy to either Android or iOS. So in this case, what AR Foundation uses is ARKit or ARCore, but we don't jump like into the native plugins because it would take a lot of time, and they're different. You need to learn a different language. Like in ARKit, you need to learn Swift or Objective-C. In ARCore, you need to learn Java. So it just like goes out of scope a little bit. Because of that, we use AR Foundation, which is a wrapper around both. So you're gonna be able to do everything that you would do in either ARKit or ARCore, but using AR Foundation.
Perfect. Great question, Reginald. Another question from Prisha: what software techniques can be used to have a cooler running headset? Is there any way you can, shorten the answer to this one without going too far into the weeds?
What social techniques can be used to have a cooler running headset? Well, it depends. So the first thing is you need to identify what is the problem there. What is the bottleneck there? So you need to first identify the bottleneck before we optimize. But without looking into the specific application and what's happening there, it's quite hard to answer. Definitely, the first step would be identifying what the bottleneck is there.
Yeah, that's a tough one to really delve deeply into without.
Yeah, it is. So Jay
context.
just suggested in the chat to reduce the processing, but it's not always about the processing, because when you have like different bottlenecks in different steps, you can make processing heavy, but it's not like actually the processor. Maybe the processor just waiting for the GPU or the memory or the disk. So it's a little bit more complex than that. You need to profile your application. So that's the first step. You need to identify what's going on, and then you improve that. So most of the times it's not the processor. Most of the times it's something visual. It's like the graphics, they're messing up with everything. So not always. You need to VFX. Yeah. So you need to profile your application and identify what's wrong there.
Okay, and for this one, I'd actually like to hear Andrew's answer first. But how many hours would students normally spend each week besides class hours for the XR Dev class?
That's a really good question. I think it's really dependent on your personal schedule, first of all. So I'm taking this class in tandem with a crazy job. So I have to really carve out time to take the class, but also rewatch the videos. I have to rewatch everything twice to really digest it. So I spend an absurdly amount of time going over stuff. Any free time that I have, I'm going over stuff and trying to like digest it as much as I can. But sometimes work has gotten crazy and I fall behind with the projects a little bit. And so I have to, spend more time on the weekends to be able to do that. I'd say on average, the classes are like 6 hours a week with the classes. And I probably spend, a good solid 3 to 4 hours extra on top of that, rewatching and digesting stuff. And then on top of that, on the weekends, fiddling around with Unity, going to the asset store, learning new stuff. And that can just be many, many more hours. So it really just depends on how you work, right? And just what you want to take out of it. I just want to dive deep into it and learn as much as possible and want to spend as much time as I physically can to learn everything all at once. But some people like to digest it, take a step back and kind of go at their own pace and learn that way. And that they've been really successful in doing that too.
And Jerry, what would be your recommendation on this?
That's a really good answer, actually, Andrew. And my recommendation is as many hours as you can.
Yeah.
Because this is going to accelerate your learning. You're going to be practicing, so you're going to be better, faster. But I would say a minimum of 5 hours if you really want to get the most of it. So we recommend usually like 6 to 10 hours, but I would say at least 5 if you want to really, really be proficient by the end of the course. Of course, if you cannot spend that, it's not at the end of the world. It's just going to like go on a slower pace. We have some students that don't have any time other than the classes and the one-on-ones that they have, and they make a really good use of this time. So, well, it depends on your schedule, as Andrew said. I recommend as many as you can, at least 5, so you're good in the end. But if you don't have like 5 hours a week, that's not a huge problem. You just like de-accelerate a little bit, plan better, and go over the most important things first. So it depends on your availability, but yeah, I would say like at least 5, 6 would be the minimum to have a outstanding result in the end.
There you go. So 1 hour on your weeknights, or more ideally, like every waking moment you're at your computer learning. But there's no requirement outside the course. Great question, Pin. Great question. Another one from CU is coding skill necessary for XR designer to prototype. So is it required for our interaction design course?
No, it's not. So it depends on the complexity of your prototype. So if you want to do like high fidelity prototypes that almost look like an app, then in this case, yes, you're gonna need to know a little bit of scripting. But for low fidelity prototypes, you can do a lot without coding, and that's why we teach in this course. So basically, how to make the most out of the XR Interaction Toolkit, so you can have a VR application, how to use the timeline system, so you can animate a bunch of stuff and use them with events. So you can have like a really realistic prototype, but it's still a prototype. So it's not required. You can do a bunch of things with no code. But if you know code, if you know how to code, then in this case, you can like create more complex prototypes, convey more complex ideas, but it's not necessary. But it's highly recommended. Like I feel like everyone should learn how to code at some point. It gives you power.
Yeah, that's a great point, Andrew. I know you're well versed in C# at this point, but do you find going through the interaction design course that you are applying a lot of that C# scripting to know what you're learning?
Not yet, right? Because it's very at the beginning, and right now we're sort of learning about how to think from a designer's point of view, which is important. It's completely separate, usage of your brain to think about, a shader, or think about colors, or think about the experience that a player in a VR world would have once they launch your app, or if it's too complex, or if you really need those visual effects to tell your story. So I think it's going to come in handy if and when I want to build on whatever we do in that class to as Jerry said, to have more complex interactions. But so far we haven't touched C#, which is actually a little bit refreshing and a little bit of a nice break to sort of think differently about development in general.
Perfect, great, and great question. Thank you guys. I think you're gonna like this one, Andrew. Do you have any experience with virtual performances, for example, live streaming concerts in virtual reality? How far away are we from seeing this, happen?
If it were up to me, it would happen tomorrow. The hardest part really is dealing with the studios, and the complexity of licensing IP. So, we work on Potter, but Potter is protected through a lot, as you can imagine, a lot of entities and the rights. So virtual performances are complex because you have to get the rights for not only the movie that you're going to show, right, but also the orchestras that perform these things are all unions, and they require certain procedures and things to be in place to be able to have that happen, even if it's in a virtual space. So all of that stuff is very new. Like, there aren't very many virtual concerts going on, but the pandemic has sort of kick-started that a little bit into high gear. You saw a lot of orchestras, I'm sure, on Facebook or Instagram performing certain things because a lot of the musicians weren't able to go to concert halls. So I think we're going to see it happen within the next few years for sure, because a lot of orchestras now, even though they're going back to live performances, are going to continue to try to monetize digital performances, whether it be on Facebook or through their own sort of monetization channels. So so I wouldn't give up hope on seeing it anytime soon. I think it's going to happen fairly quickly within the next 24 months or so.
Great. Yeah, great question. And thank you, Andrew, for the answer. So I've reprioritized the questions just in the nature of time. We're kind of running low here. So I wanted to make sure that we get all the ones that have been upvoted the most out of the way and answered. So another question from Kim: do the programs give students a good grasp on the pipeline to launching products?
Well, I think so. It's only formally included in the accelerator, and we talk a little bit about it in the XR, in the interaction design and prototyping as well. But the thing is, you are so close to a community, and you're seeing people doing stuff and publishing, and you have like help from experts, that in the end, like you basically learn what the pipeline is. It's really different because it depends on the platform. Like, each platform has all distribution. The distribution is different there. But yeah, you end up like learning a bunch about it with the instructors and with your colleagues as well. And if you're in the accelerator, we talk about that more formally. So because people there, they already have the projects, they're searching for alternatives to publish their projects and going live there. So yeah, you will end up learning a lot about it.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, that's something that that certainly you could leverage our community for. Like, there's tons of people in there that are willing to help. And we also have the open office hours that would be your kind of more formal way to get support on that. But great question. Question from Steven. What are some good arguments for building VR interactions, etc., from scratch versus using, for example, the Oculus integration?
That's a really good question. So there are a couple of points there. The first one is the Oculus integration only works for Oculus. So what if you want to publish your same application for Vive later? Or maybe you want, like, there's a new headset out there and you need to publish it to this headset. If you're using the Oculus integration, there's nothing you can do. You just need to redo everything. So the Oculus integration is good. It does have like alternatives for multiplayer, hand tracking, which is super cool. If you are building exclusively for Oculus, that's your take. Like, you can just use the Oculus integration and go for it. But in the course, we want people to know how to build XR, how to create XR applications, no matter what is the platform they're working for. So in the dev course, we teach how to create the interactions from scratch, because we want people to learn how to program and how to be independent there. So not only they understand what the Oculus integration is doing, but they can do that on their own. They can modify that because they are comfortable with the code. And in the XR, in the interaction design and prototyping course, for XR, we don't use the Oculus because the same reason, but we use the XR interaction toolkit, which is high level. So with the XR interaction toolkit, you can write one and deploy to multiple platforms. It works for AR, it works for VR. So we cover Mars as well, which is a generic tool that can be deployed to HoloLens, to mobile AR. So that's the main reasons why we don't like stick to Oculus integration during the courses. I'm not saying you shouldn't use it. If you know that your application is only for Oculus, there are a bunch of cool things there that are already developed, but you need to rely on the way they do stuff and what they do. So if they don't support something, or if you decide later that it's not only Oculus anymore, then you just need to redo everything.
Very good point. Thank you, Jerry. So just trying to find next question from Daria. What do you think could impede the growth of VR or AR? What was your biggest challenge while developing an XR project? So two-part question here.
Yeah, I think Andrew should go for this one.
I'm trying to think about this. Could it impede the growth of VR? What is the biggest challenge while developing an XR project? I sort of touched on this with hardware limitations, and I think that honestly the biggest struggle I've had is computer issues, or a lot of this technology like Oculus Link, just to get the headset working on a computer sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, and sometimes you're in the middle of demoing something for yourself and it just shuts off and you just like want to tear your eyes out, nothing works, and so you have to reboot. And so I feel like there's just a lot of workflow limitations to being efficient in developing XR applications. That is a massive, massive challenge for me. So sometimes, I want to spend 2 hours like messing around with Unity and stuff, and it takes me that 2 hours just to get Unity to stop giving console errors for some package that's I don't know what. And so, and Googling what that means or talking to somebody in Slack about it. And so that, it takes time. As I'm sure, Jerry, you could talk about this, like developing, it's not easy, and it definitely takes a ton of time to get stuff to just, sometimes the most basic things takes forever. And that's for somebody who wants to work fast and, have results, like that could be frustrating.
Yeah, I agree. So what I think that would impede the growth of VRXR, basically, in my opinion, the price and the access to the devices. Because right now the good devices are really expensive and not everyone have them. So if it's not something that changes, like if it doesn't get popular, we're not going to be building like any applications that they're going to be widespread in there. They're gonna be transforming the way we use applications. So I think that's on top of my head is what I can think. Like if it doesn't get more popular, more accessible, it's not gonna grow. I don't think it's gonna happen. I see like it's getting more and more accessible than it was like 6 years ago. So yeah, that's it. And regarding the biggest challenge while developing an XR project, I don't know. Like the testing, in my opinion, the testing process is really hard. Like
Yeah.
you need to, even if you don't have like technical difficulties anymore, and well, I don't think I have that many, but testing is hard. Like you need to get feedback, so you need to send that to other person, and they need to have the headset, and then testing in volume. Like I used to research game accessibility and playability, like gameplay testing in mobile, and it's a lot easier because everybody has a mobile there, so you can just record what they are doing and track that. But for VR, it's a nightmare. Like if you need to get feedback, it's hard for the other person to convey what's wrong, and uh, yeah, I feel like the iteration and test process is really hard, really hard. So now we're trying to improve it. There are a couple of tools that are helping a little bit. In AR, for example, with Unimars, it's a lot easier now than it was a couple of months ago. But in VR, I still think it's a struggle. Like even while I am developing, just needing to get a headset, take off the headset, get a headset. You change something. Sometimes it's like a spatial operation. You cannot just test that in the editor. So you need to go into the headset. So it's tiring. Like the iteration process is really challenging, and I don't see like many ways to improve it.
It's a good
One
workout,
thing,
though, right, Jerry? It's a good workout, just putting it on and off
oh
again.
yeah, it's terrible. It's a nightmare. So one thing that I'm seeing is in the Oculus now you have the possibility to do everything inside of the Oculus. Like you can map where your table is. If you have a specific keyboard, you can just like never go out of VR, and it's just not comfortable yet. So maybe in the future I am not gonna have to take it on and off because I'm gonna program inside of it. It's already possible, just not too comfortable, maybe because I'm not used to it. But maybe that's gonna be the future. Like I'm gonna be in VR all the time. But right now, the way it is, it's really painful to iterate, to test and iterate.
For now, we're stuck doing device curls every time we need to test. So
Yeah, and then you have the cables, and then you just like touch everything, and then you kick the table, and then yeah,
it's the worst.
It's not easy.
Yeah, hopefully that's a process that can be streamlined in the immediate future. So I'll ask one more question. Hopefully, Jerry, you have just a couple minutes. How should innovative educators and trainers who may not be highly versed in XR dev or design engage with XR in terms of storytelling, multiliteracies, and psychometrics? Whoa.
Oh, that's a deep question. That's a really good question. How should innovative educators and trainers who may not be highly versed in VR? Okay, so the first thing is get comfortable with XR. Like you need to start, if you don't start developing, at least start playing, experimenting, seeing, and copying. Like there is one thing in design, which is design critic. Like you need to see what people is doing and judge if it's good or not. So getting more comfortable, I think it's the first is the first step. So you have like vocabulary, you know what is possible. So for storytelling, for example, what people are doing there, what everyone is doing there. So you can basically start from there, like start getting insights from what is already there. Then you can start considering what you should be building, what you can use that if you're a teacher, like educator, trainer, how the XR capabilities can improve or enhance your process, the trainings you deliver. So I feel like it starts with getting more vocabulary, like knowing more about what's there, and then from there, creating your own stuff.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Jerry. I think you have to jump off. I don't want to encroach on your time here. So we do have a number of questions still, but we may have to cut it short just for 1 second.
Jerry, you're always busy. Jerry, by the way, is always busy.
Always.
He's the busiest guy I know.
He went from doing a 1-to-1 session straight onto here. So I almost like bombarded him.
And there was another info session just before the 101, and now I have another video. But boy, it is what it is.
I just
would
like to
love.
think it keeps you young, right? It keeps you young, Jerry.
Yeah,
He's a hot
yeah.
commodity. Everyone wants some time with Jerry. That's for sure.
I would love to stay here forever chatting with everyone, but unfortunately, that's not possible. All right. So one recommendation, if there's a question there that was an answer and you think I am the best person to answer it, just join our Slack community. I am there. Well, I am busy, but I'm responsive, Andrew.
Yes, you are very responsive.
So if you ask a question there, I will answer it, not immediately.
I annoy Jerry all the time, by the way, guys. Like, I annoy him like crazy, and he's very, very nice and getting back to me with very detailed answers. So,
all right.
Perfect. All right, Jerry. Well, we really appreciate your time as always, and we'll stick around for a couple minutes. I think there's a few questions here that Andrew can answer, or we're directed towards Andrew. So if you have another couple minutes, we'll address.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Great.
All right. Have a great end of the
Bye,
day,
Jerry.
guys. See you. Bye.
Bye, Jerry. So for Andrew, how do you envision AR will change the storytelling landscape? And do you think AR will be the next medium for film and TV to explore?
It will change the storytelling landscape by enhancing that landscape. And what I mean by that is it'll allow people to experience things from the film in their own personal space, or it could be an activation at a premiere or a movie, right, or a poster. And so I think if you're a fan of certain movies or fan of brands, for Harry Potter, for example, you can think of a million ways to enhance that story or that brand by, scanning a QR code or a Wizarding World logo or something, a T-shirt tag. Let's say you buy a T-shirt and it has a Wizarding World logo, and then, special features, you scan it and you unlock something that's immersive. I think that's how it will essentially enhance the storytelling landscape. I don't think it will change it so much in ways that we haven't already seen. Do I think the AR will be the next medium for film and TV to explore? I think so, but again, it will be an enhancement to what's already there. So you can imagine going to a movie theater and seeing a movie poster that you really like, and there'll be a QR code that you can, scan and get access to something. It'll unlock something. So I think that's what studios are most likely trying to unlock, use it as a marketing tool for IP that's already out there. But in terms of changing the landscape, I don't know. I see VR sort of more in that category compared to AR.
Yeah, fair enough. Like finding ways to immerse the user into that kind of experience would be kind of the next step, I think. Anyway, do you ever think we'll be the stars in our own movies, Andrew?
Oh, sure. I mean, you can imagine, avatars or things, LiDAR is another thing too that really hasn't been explored in the VR or AR space all that much. I mean, it's so new that I think that the possibilities are endless with being able to actually watch a movie, just watch a movie or experience a movie or experience special features from that movie, like DVD extras, right? Where people are talking to you and you're learning stuff, or you're sitting with the director and watching something. That's sort of where I see this headed.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like that is the next kind of natural step for this technology, which is very exciting. We'll answer one more question, and sorry for everyone who asked a question that we don't have time to answer today. Certainly reach out to Steph, Kyle, or myself on the education team, and we can get back to you, or leverage the instructors to answer those more technical questions for you. Right now, we will ask Kim's question. What aspect of XR was the most difficult to learn?
C#. So the coding is very difficult. It's like what Jerry said, it's like a new language. And sometimes you'll have the most basic idea just to grab something or change the color of something. And you have to think about that in terms of C sharp, and creating a script and applying it to the game object. Now, once you practice it a lot, it becomes sort of second nature, but that was the most difficult thing for me to learn. And I'm by no means a C sharp expert. You know, I still forget stuff, and I still sometimes get tripped up and don't know how to apply C sharp in the right ways, and have to go back to previous lectures and relearn that a little bit. But that is it. I think the interface of Unity and how these guys sort of describe the hierarchy of how things work and how you build stuff is actually the fun part. But C sharp is fun too, because you can apply complex things to the stuff that you're building. But it's a huge, for me at least, it was a very big hurdle to overcome. That fear of like learning coding. I had no experience with it, and that was hard.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that is pretty commonplace. I mean, C sharp, any scripting language in general is something that you kind of have to get used to. If you don't have previous experience or a background in programming, it is really, comparable to learning a new language entirely. So I think you said it best. The more you're around it, the more you can kind of practice or play around with it or write your own script. The faster you're going to be able to kind of have a practical understanding and knowledge of it.
Yeah, and I'm also a very visual learner. I don't consider myself a coder. So any visual learners out there who, don't really learn things very well by writing things out or scripting things out, I think it's still comfortable because the pace, while pretty fast and you go through a lot of stuff, there's a lot of room for you to be able to like ask questions and go into your one-on-ones and reapply what you've learned to very basic things. And also, the people that are in your class, you can always ask for help too. And people do that. We do that with each other all the time. And that also helps us learn. And there are study groups too. Some students open study groups on Hangouts or Zoom, where everybody goes and has like, quiet time, library time. And if you run into any problems, you can ask questions there, share your screen and stuff, which is great. So it's a community of really like awesome people that are just want to see you succeed and learn this new technology, because it's changing all the time. And I feel like the possibilities are really endless at this moment.
That is a great answer. Andrew, I really, again, appreciate you taking the time today to join us. As mentioned before, Andrew is a stud of a student and absolutely fantastic at taking what he's learned and bringing it into his profession. So we love seeing stories like that, and we love sharing stories like that. That's it for today. Again, if you have any questions that we didn't address today, feel free to get in touch. We definitely want to address these questions, but with respect to the time today, we are just running over the hour. So want to wrap things up. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. We do run workshops regularly, so stay posted and feel free to join us for those events as well. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with our education team. That's where we'll leave it. We'll wrap it there. And everyone, have yourselves a great rest of your Thursdays and a great weekend ahead.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.